Hello everyone, my name is Paula Bittencourt and I'll be presenting to you my final project. I found my topic when I interviewed my mom and asked her what was something that she was going through that I could help her with that would make her life better. And she told me that since she was a child, she was always had to rock or shake her legs to fall asleep, and it had become a habit that she does even now in her 60s. The problem was that now that she has back pain due to herniated discs, she can't sway her legs anymore because it causes her an unbearable pain. So she asked me if I could create a device for her that would move the bed and she wouldn't have to use her low back to create that motion. I looked online to see if there was something similar to what she was asking me to do, and I actually found a couple different beds that did what she was asking, but not at the rate that she needed. She was asking for the motion to be a bit quicker, but these beds were mimicking the sway motion of a hammock or like the rocking motion of cradling a baby. Since a product like the one my mother needed didn't exist, I had to create one from scratch. My thinking process was that I could create a device that would be attached to the leg of a metal bed frame, since they are lighter in weight but still strong, and use a motor to create the shaking movement. A machine for an actual bed would be hard and expensive to make, so I created a prototype that could be demonstrated on a bed made out of cardboard. The device would consist of a bed leg attachment, a mechanism that would transfer rotation into linear motion, and a motor powered by a power adapter. These pictures show the parts that I created in SolidWorks, and they were printed by a 3D printer at the DFX lab. This is what the prototype looked like after I finished putting it together. Since the cardboard bed frame was too light and the motor was moving too much, I had to put two weights there to help keep it in place. As you could see, the device was able to create the motion even though it was a little exaggerated. It was tricky to find a good placement between the motor attachment and the bed leg mechanism. There was a design flaw where if it was too close to the motor, it would get stuck, and if it was too far, the motor would detach. The downside was that the machine was a lot noisier than I was expecting, and that can be disrupting while trying to fall asleep. Even though there were many problems that came up during this testing, this device could potentially work for a real size bed if changes are implemented to the prototype. I will explain some of these changes on the next slide. Many improvements can be made to this device, so for future modifications, I could redesign the mechanism so that the motor is mounted properly and it doesn't get stuck or detached, build a better motor bracket that can support the torque created by the mechanism motion without having to use a weight to keep it in place. When scaling up, the mechanism or motor would need to be larger in size and have more torque. Also, we could use a potentiometer to decrease or increase the voltage in the power supply, and by doing that, the motor would be able to rotate more slowly so that the shaking is not as powerful, or rotate quicker, depending on the individual's personal requirements. Also, making the parts out of metal would make them more durable and able to sustain more damage due to the scratching or the repeated motion. These are my references. Thank you for watching my presentation. Do you have any questions?